With Thunderbolts now in theaters, you already know I'm going to be recreating 3 posters from the movie using action figures. As simple as these look, I think they'll be a little more challenging than usual, so let's get into it. So here's all the action figures I'll be using, but I'll have to tweak some just because of how different they look from the Thunderbolts designs. This might get complicated. First change, I'm going to give the Red Guardian shield to the US agent since his shield more resembles the black and red color scheme on the posters. Second change, I'm going to completely disregard this ghost figure and use Sylvie from the Loki series as the body and swap the head for the unmasked ghost head. Third change, I'm going to do something similar for Yelena. I'm going to do a head swap for a Natasha Romanoff Black Widow body since her suit is black, and when I get to editing, I'm going to use this Infinity War Black Widow for her hair since the hair is more like the one in the movie. And lastly, I'll use a Star Wars dude for Bob. Now let's get into the posters. First one I'll do is the most simple of the 3. This one has simple poses of each individual character with somewhat of rim lighting to them. Each character is really just front facing with their respective weapons. And like I said earlier, I have to take a picture of the Infinity War Black Widow for every image of Yelena so I can replace her hair. You'll see what I mean. For the editing, the whole focal point is obviously the asterisk, so I found a font that has a very similar one that lines up nearly perfectly. I made that shape the darkest yellow found on the original poster and drew a light yellow from the middle to give a glow effect inside the shape. So starting on the characters, all of them are simple maskings from their background except for Yelena. Like I said earlier, I took 2 separate images of Black Widow and the Yelena figure I have for the sake of her hair. So I cut out Scarlett Johansson's face and keep her blonde hair, just to then warp and paste it onto Florence Pugh's face. So to put that together for the poster, I did some color correction to give them both a yellow hue match. As you can see, each character has a glow around them that circulates the center of the asterisk, so I did my best to replicate that. Essentially, each is a repeat of the other, trying to get the same consistent yellow hue and glow for each character. For some of them, like Red Guardian, they needed deeper shadows, so I took a black airbrush and lightly went over them where I needed to help further the look. Only character that gets a different treatment was Bob, this time just sticking him in the corner of Yelena's section on the asterisk. I then went around each section making sure they're flush with the end of the shape, finished up by adding the simple text and logos, and that's the first finished poster. The second poster I really like, it has a cereal box look. For posing, I tried to take a picture of all of them together to relieve some editing on my part, but because of the height differences of these figures being incorrect, I had to take separate images of each individual one. To start off, I'm gonna overlay Yelena's hair. This one looks way better than the previous one, not gonna lie. Essentially, it's a cycle of cleaning each character's edges up one by one, while also color correcting them to have somewhat of an orange tone to match the background. Some characters were quicker than others like Taskmaster and Bob since I didn't need to clean up the entirety of the body since they're really hidden. But the fun part on the poster is the graphics found all around to make it look like a cereal box. First, I'm going to take the background's color and take an airbrush to fade in a darker orange coming from the right side. I'll then focus on the top and make a blue rectangle with a little white line under it to separate the 2 colors. On the top left, I'll make this triangle shape and fill it in with this tannish color and throw a black shadow under it. To help separate the characters from each other, I took a dark airbrush and went in more towards the bottom of each person, with more on Bucky and Red Guardian. I then started the text on the bottom area with all their names and the movie info. There's a lot to type here. The movie logo is unique on this one, so I took a similar enough font that I had. I warped it a little bit to be taller, and just distorted it the slightest bit on the right side to match with the correct perspectives. Finishing it up and adding the last little details, that is the second poster of the video done. For the third and last poster of the video, I'm going to be doing one of the first posters they released for this movie. This is going to be the most complicated one because of the layering of each person here, so I'll do my best. So by now you already know the drill with Yelena in the group. This time I try to give them a slight yellow/green hue to match the poster. Taskmaster was a simple cleanup around the edges, but there was a lot of green for me to erase on this one. For Bob, I had to isolate his hand and edit it to be a bit more in front of his face since the action figure's articulation wouldn't allow it in real life. Bucky was very simple, just had to cut him out, but I had to go back to Bob and erase some of his face so that Bucky's weapon could be in front of his face for some accuracy. Red Guardian was pretty simple on his own for now. These next few characters were the most intricate stacking with each other, so this is where you'll see me kinda struggle. Ghost, similar to Bob, I had to isolate her entire arm so I could place it in front of Red Guardians and have it look like she's choking him out. Onto US Agent, same cleanup routine. I had to erase some of his upper arm to get it behind Red Guardians, while keeping the rest of the arm as is, just so it looks like that Ghost's arm is holding onto US Agents around Red Guardian. Do you see where it gets confusing? To help with the character separation and depth, I added shadows to the background, in front of everyone, and in between some of the layers. As an added touch, I took US Agent's shield and desaturated it a little bit just to make the poster more accurate. I also made it much larger to fill in the empty space behind Bucky. I added the text and final touches, and that is the third and final poster of the video done. So here's all three of the posters I made for this video. They for sure got progressively harder, and these were definitely the most complicated posters I've made in this series, just because of the amount of characters involved, so let me know how they came out. I did my best to recreate not only the posters but also the looks of each character to help with the accuracy, since I don't have the real figures that match with a Thunderbolts movie. But let me know how you think I did, like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you guys in the next video.